We are back for another edition of the Mount Rushmore series, episode 3, second baseman for the MLB, Carl Coulage for the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. Thank you all for watching all of our content. Let me introduce my contributors. Paul the Great, how you doing, man?
Hey, it's gold, baby. You see the gold. You see the gold on the check. You see the gold in the background. Paul the Great, always happy to speak, show my versatility. You know I love baseball, man, so I'm always here.
All right, we have Manny for the first time on the Mount Rushmore. Manny, how you doing, bro?
Going on, gentlemen. I'm actually feel honored to actually be part of the Mount Rushmore discussion because you guys have been doing really well on this. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity.
No problem, man. TK the Tank, Tom Kenny. He's not talking pro wrestling. He's not talking football, but he's talking baseball again. TK, how you doing, man?
Great, Carl. Always great to be on here. Always great to talk baseball with you.
And we have JP back-to-back. He was on episode 2. Now he's on episode 3. JP, my brother from SJB. How you doing, man?
This is so much fun, man. And a shout-out to my boy Chuck for letting me be on tonight.
All right. So now let's talk about second baseman. You guys know the rules. Let's not waste any time. Manny, since you're new to this, I'm going to give you the floor first. Who are your top 4 all time? And let's get to it. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
So my honestly number one for me would be Rod Carew, the Panamanian sensation, honestly, because when I was doing my research for this man, 1969, he stole home plate 7 times. Tied the record with Pete Reiser. Obviously, Ty Cobb had the record, but I don't care about Ty Cobb, honestly. His career batting average was .328, but in his entire career, the 19 years that he played, he made the All-Star game 18 times. He won MVP. His MVP season, he batted .388. He batted over .340. I believe he batted over .350 5 times in his entire career. He got 3,053 hits, 353 stolen bases. He had the record for stolen bases 3 times in one inning. He made the All-Century team. So 1977 was his best year. So he played 155 games, 239 hits, 128 runs, 16 triples, 23 stolen bases that year, and 1 MVP. He also had Silver Slugger titles as well. He won the Silver Slugger a bunch. He actually won the batting title without hitting a home run in 1972. So, and then he led the league in batting average 7 times. So he's number 1 for me. Number 2, Roberto Allamar. 17 years, 12-time All-Star. He was one of the main contributors to the Blue Jays winning the World Series back-to-back years. He batted .354 going into the postseason for the 2 World Series runs back-to-back. He batted .354. He had, 10-time Gold Glove winner. So I will give him that. He also was in the MVP race multiple times, even later on in his career, especially when he was with the Indians, when he was going MVP race with Manny Ramirez and others. I believe he was top 5 in the MVP race for AL, of course. Joe Morgan. He played 22 years, but his numbers, my goodness, man. 10-time All-Star, 5 Gold Gloves, 2 MVP, 2 rings, Silver Slugger, 2,500 hits, 268 home runs, 689 stolen bases. These guys that I mentioned, just these 3 alone, stole a lot of bases. And shout out to the outfield. You guys missed out on Ricky Henderson. That was my guy, stolen base king, honestly. But I give it Joe Morgan. He was a great player. He played a long year. His career average, obviously, 271, 197 stolen bases and stuff like that. In actually 1 season, I believe. My apologies on that. And the last one, Jackie Robinson. The man broke the color barrier. The man is the main reason why we're able to play this sport that we love, especially being Dominican. And just given the opportunities, like if it wasn't for Jackie Robinson, Rod Carew would not be on this list, if you think about it. None of us will be here talking about these athletes if it wasn't for Jackie Robinson. He did more for the game.
So we have Rod Rod Carew, Roberto Allamar, Joe Morgan, and Jackie Robinson. Paul the Great, the floor is yours, my man.
So I get to the debate and all that stuff if it comes there, but Joe Morgan's the best second baseman to ever play baseball. So I won't even spend a whole ton of time talking about what the big green machine was pulling off in Cincinnati for all those years. But Joe Morgan's on there. I did have Roberto Allamar on my list. I just think when you think about Roberto Allamar, I think he might be arguably one of the greatest defensive infielders we've ever seen in the sport. The 10 straight gold gloves obviously speak to that, but that boy made plays for years, everywhere he was, right? Craig Biggio is on my list. As a guy who, what a lot of you guys don't know is, from a passionate perspective, baseball was always my number one sport. As I got older, I got stronger. I still play baseball at a pretty high level in high school, and then obviously journey toward football. But when I think about second baseman all through Little League, through high school, you think about the person who hustles the most, probably always batted second in most cases growing up. And when you think about Craig Biggio, you think about a guy who literally played like 22 years in the league, does have 3,000 hits, ton of stolen bases, but he was one of the greatest hustlers the Major League has ever seen. And what he did in Houston was just significant. So, 5 Silver Sluggers because he, could hit too. So I'll give him a ton of credit for that. And, I just think 7 All-Star appearances, Craig Biggio made it. I'm glad he finally made the Hall of Fame, but he's on there for me as well. And then last I put Jackie Robinson. Obviously, you guys have covered a lot of the whole Babe Ruth stuff and, his impact, the Negro Leagues and all that other fun stuff. I think the reality for me is, Jackie Robinson played a lot of years before he actually got a chance to play baseball at that level. And, he walked into the league and won a Rookie of the Year. 2 years later, he follows up with running MVP in the batting title. He didn't have a long career, statistically speaking, on our front, and nothing even pops out, right? It's not like Jackie Robinson was hitting 100 home runs, right? None of those things were there, but he was a highly targeted athlete. And when I say that, Babe Ruth was only hit by, I think, 50 pitchers in his entire 22-year career, right? Jackie Robinson was hit 76 times or something crazy like that in his first 8 seasons, right? So when you think about, there was still a point in time where, as good as Jackie Robinson was, he wasn't even being pitched to, right? So, and that to me is why when I start thinking about impact, Mount Rushmore, face on the mountains, Jackie Robinson also makes that list for me. So that's my 4.
Joe Morgan, Roberto Allamar, Jackie Robinson, and Craig Biggio. TK the Tank, you're on the clock.
But number 4 on my list is Roberto Allamar. You look at him, 4-time Silver Slugger, 10-time Gold Glove, 12-time All-Star, Hall of Famer. He won 2 World Series with the Toronto Blue Jays. You look at the 1992 ALCS Game 4, hitting that home run off of Dennis Eckersley, one of the biggest moments in Blue Jays history, earned him the ALCS MVP. 300 batting average for his career, 210 home runs. He was great for every team he played for except for the Mets, where he was a bum, and he came in and hit 90 points less and hit half the RBIs he had the year before. As a Mets fan, it's hard for me to forgive him for that, and that's why he only is number 4 on this list. But still one of the best, switch-hitting second baseman we've ever seen. Number 3 on my list is going to be Rogers Hornsby. You look at Roger Hornsby, 2-time MVP, 2-time Triple Crown winner for the NL, 7 batting titles, Hall of Famer, won a World Series in 1926. His wins above replacement, higher than most other second basemen. He had a 127 WAR. You look at Roberto Allamar, it was only about 67. So Rogers Hornsby makes it for me. 358 batting average for his career, 300 home runs, almost 3,000 hits, just shy of it. He was the first second baseman to really produce like this. So he makes my Mount Rushmore number 3. We head on to number 2, Cincinnati Reds in the 70s. The big red machine. You have to think Joe Morgan, 2-time MVP, 2 World Series rings. He was a 5-time Gold Glove winner, 10-time All-Star, another Hall of Famer. And the man was just ridiculous. Almost 700 stolen bases, 1,100 RBIs. He just was really, someone else called him probably the best second baseman to ever play. And that is a point that could be argued. Joe Morgan, still to this day, calling the games is great, but he was a great second baseman, and he was the Cincinnati Reds in the 70s. But number one, which is an easy choice for me, and I think he's going to be on everyone's list, Jackie Robinson, broke the color barrier in baseball. Rookie of the year. And, I mean, you think about a guy that breaks the color barrier, wins Rookie of the Year that year, and then 2 years later wins the MVP with all the odds stacked against him. He won a World Series in 1955. He won a batting title. He's a Hall of Famer. You walk into Citi Field and you walk into the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. And it's a beautiful thing because Jackie Robinson is not only a Hall of Fame baseball player. He is not only a great baseball player. He is a great American. He is someone that when you learn history of America, you learn about Jackie Robinson because of the things he did and the way he advanced this country and the sacrifices he made. So Jackie Robinson has to be number one on this list. He's one of my favorite baseball players. And, I mean, all the accolades in the world to Jackie Robinson. And that's my list.
All right. So Jackie Robinson, Joe Morgan, Roger Hornsby, and Roberto Allamar. JP, you're on the clock, bro.
All right, so as a history teacher that teaches about Jackie Robinson, I agree with you. He's not a Met, even though he has a rotunda at Citi Field. He's my honorable mention right there. I'm going to go 4-1. So number 4, Robbie Olimar. I think everybody's mentioned him. Switch hitter, probably arguably one of the best second basemen from the late 80s all throughout the 90s. Number 3, nobody has mentioned, is Robinson Cano, who's still playing right now. If he were to retire today, he is a Hall of Famer. He has an 845 OPS, 328 homers for a second baseman. Only one person has more home runs, and that's Jeff Kent with a 437 slugging. Number 2, Joe Morgan. Everybody has said great things about Joe Morgan, 2-time MVP, 819 OPS. He has 132 OPS plus, where a good one is 100. Number 1, who is one of the best players to ever play the game, regardless of second base, is Rogers Hornsby, where he is arguably first ballot Hall of Famer when they opened the Hall of Fame, right? This guy, like you guys said, 2-time Triple Crown, 2 MVPs. His OPS plus is 175. The closest to that is Joe Morgan at 132. So not even in the same zip code right there. So Roger Hornsby is my one who I argue is one of the best players to ever play baseball.
So Roger Hornsby, Joe Morgan, Robinson Cano, and Roberto Allamar. Are we all going to give JP flack for leaving Jackie Robinson off his list, or is he fair?
I went numbers, man.
Is he fair?
You can't bring feelings into this.
I mean, it's not even feelings. I mean, it's Jackie Robinson, man. This man changed the game. It wasn't like, he's just a color guy that comes. He's not just a color guy and he's trash. No, I know. I'm just saying, like, no. I'm just saying that Jackie Robinson was good.
He's awesome.
He was great.
Yeah.
He came into what?
No argument.
28 when he joined when he was 28. Argument. So imagine his numbers, what it was before. If he would have went to the majors when he was 21, when he first started playing baseball in the Negro League.
All right, I was just talking. I was saying Jackie Robinson. You talk about the OPS plus. He also had 132 OPS plus, just like Joe Morgan.
You're right.
And he did come in late. He came in at 27, which wasn't something that 28, which is something that he could control. But you talk about just the hit by pitches and just the intangibles he had to go through, and the things he had to go through, and the fact that he was an MVP, that he was coming in his first year and being Rookie of the Year, stealing home plate. All those great things. I understand you want to go purely by numbers, but it's hard to go purely by numbers because he wasn't allowed in the league before 1947.
Okay, so Paul the Great.
Let me just say something on that, because stealing home plate, come on, that should not have anything to do with Mount Rushmore. But you're right about 130. You're right. No, he's right about. Yeah, but he's right about 132, and nobody's wrong by saying he doesn't belong in the top 4. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. That's not even the message I was trying to give at all whatsoever.
No, I understand.
To say he's in the top 4 is fine, but that he stole home plate, I don't think that factors into that. But that's my opinion.
Okay.
As a baseball guy, as a player.
Guys, 1 second. Guys, 1 second. Paul the Great has been patiently waiting. Paul the Great, what are your thoughts on JP leaving off Jackie Robinson?
Wow, really?
So, listen.
That's the white guy.
No, not at all. Because TK had him on the list.
You know me better than that.
Not at all. Because everybody else went around. So Paul the Great.
No. Listen, JP. I'm a numbers guy. You understand? As a numbers guy, I understand how you came to the body and the conclusion paragraph for leaving off Jackie Robinson. However, I will say this. When you add Robinson Cano to the list and do not have Jackie Robinson on the list, the cause for concern I have, and I am a diehard Yankee fan. I'm one of the biggest Cano fans that exist. He didn't really have a great postseason career, and he was always in the postseason with the Yankees with the most support in the lineup, right? So my problem there is Jackie Robinson is a guy who didn't have a lot of great talent around him and actually got it done, World Series, was an MVP. Cano was never an MVP. I think his highest finish was maybe third back in 2010. And that was mainly due to A-Rod missing time that year, but that's another story. He got a chance to play some cleanup and hitting the cleanup slot. But I just see a guy who great swing, lazy on defense. He only has a couple Gold Gloves and hit 220 for his postseason career, right? Like that's what I see is a guy that was a part of the Yankee era that didn't do enough as a Yankee fan.
Yeah.
To me, he could never be on Mount Rushmore.
And that's fair, but I usually discount, and this is just my thing, the Gold Gloves that's voted on by the players. Where like Rafael Palmeiro won 3 years in a row, and he played 4 games at first base one of those years. So a lot of those things now, the fans vote on All-Star appearances, things like that. Every player team has to be represented. So I think that those are just extra kind of things where it doesn't count against you; it can only count for you, right? Like so, if I don't win a Gold Glove, that doesn't mean I didn't play well. I agree with what you said with Robinson Cano, however. I do. With his defense, lollygagging to first base. I get it because I yelled about that all the time. I'm not against Jackie.
Even when we won.
What's that?
Look at
but Jackie Robinson has 1 World Series. That's it. So an individual can't win a baseball world championship.
I understand that, but individuals can contribute to winning that championship. Right?
Sure they can, and you can't say he didn't contribute.
When you look at Robinson Cano's numbers,
look at 09.
2009. He hit 3 for 22 in the World Series.
Right.
No home runs, 1 RBI. He went 3 for 22
I'm with you.
in the series.
Okay, is there anything else that stands out?
You can kick him off the list all you want. It's just I'm not anti-Jackie Robinson, and that's how I feel like this is coming at me, and I'm not.
No, I didn't say that.
We didn't say that. Not at all.
But I didn't say. But let me clarify. I know you didn't say that, but it doesn't mean I can't feel that way, right? Like it just feels as if that's how I feel about that. Where I tossed and turned about 3 or 4, and it was like this is what I went with because I was going with different things. I was trying to represent
the reason why I asked that question,
too.
right? But the reason why I asked that question is because before you went, TK specifically said,
yes,
yeah, he said everyone's gonna have him on the list. So when you didn't have it, I was curious to see what everybody else thought about it. Is there anybody else?
I got you.
Right. So is there anybody else that cracked the list that you were surprised that made the list? That made anybody else's list? That was kind of like alarming or surprising to you? I mean, Paul mentioned Robinson Cano. Anybody else stand out?
Surprising, like they shouldn't be there, or
surprising that you didn't think that person was going to make someone's Mount Rushmore.
Rod Carew, I almost picked, so I was a little surprised he was on there just because I thought there was a couple above him, but I don't have a problem with him being there.
Okay, TK, anybody else?
Yeah, no, JP, I just wanted to come and say I'm sorry I set you up saying that no one was going to leave Jackie Robinson off.
That's honestly how it happened.
Set you up for that.
TK set you up. Yeah, he did.
And I mean, it's everyone's opinion. I mean, you saw in the previous ones I was having arguments about Babe Ruth. But the reason I brought up Jackie Robinson stealing home is that what I was alluding to, he did it in Game 1 of the World Series against the Yankees against Yogi Berra in the World Series that the Dodgers won. And he did it 19 times in his career. He stole home. So it wasn't just stealing home, but it was a little bit of anecdotal evidence, but that is just a great moment in history that Jackie Robinson is attributed to. You know what I mean? So that was where I was going with that. Just to clarify
and TK, I couldn't agree more. Or I was trying to say is that the game is played differently with all these, so different things matter at different times. Like even Gold Glove and All-Star appearances, that's changed with you. That's all I was trying to say. Everything's not the same game since 1902. There's 3 guys on the list that we don't even know who they are because they played in the 1800s and they're number 2 and 3, but nobody's going to mention them because we don't even know them. We don't even know how the stats were recorded, so everything is different.
Yes. All right. So JP,
and cultural impact, you can weigh cultural impact or not. Like that's on, it's opinion, like you said.
So JP, for giving you the flack of not putting Jackie, I'm giving you the first pick. Who cracks your list? First pick for the ultimate hit list.
Who I think is arguably one of the best players all time, Rogers Hornsby.
Okay, so Rogers, Hornsby makes the list. Okay, Paul the Great.
I mean, I'm gonna go Jackie Robinson.
Okay. Manny?
And I mean, I want to go Allamar and I want to go Carew, but between those two, I'll say Carew.
Carew.
No Allamar?
Switch
Hey,
it.
hey, hey.
TK?
All right, you guys ready for this? So I can pick between Roberto Allamar and Joe Morgan. And you know what, Roberto Allamar? You sucked as a Met. You're off Mount Rushmore. Joe Morgan's in.
Agreed with
There
Morgan.
it is. Thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
So we have Roger Hornsby, Joe Morgan, Jackie Robinson, and Rod Carew. Are we satisfied with this list?
No.
What's the problem?
Yeah.
Check this out. A part of the Babe Ruth debates, a lot of it has something to do with the quality of pitching that we see. So when I think about Roger Hornsby, who statistically, 1915 to 1937, right, before computers were even available, who the hell was pitching to him? When I think about what Robbie Olimar did in the live ball era, and arguably some of the greatest pitching the sport has ever seen, the man hit 300 for his career. How could I take Roger Hornsby over Robbie Olimar, who was a way better defender of the glove? A clutch, I mean, he got the AL. I mean, you mentioned the Dennis Eckley home run. He got the postseason numbers. He got the accolades. There's no way I'm taking that over Roberto Allamar. It's not a chance.
Okay, so JP, are you willing to sacrifice Hornsby for Allamar?
So if you want to argue the type of pitching, okay, guys didn't start breaking 90 miles an hour, right, until at least the mid to late 70s consistently. So even Whitey Ford, who's considered the chairman of the board, barely cracked 82. So a lot of the pitching from all these eras, which even in Joe Morgan's era from the beginning, there was not good pitching whatsoever. So for us to go back and analyze each pitcher that threw, it can't be done. We don't know what pitches Allamar hit or didn't hit. You know, I love Allamar. He was my top four. But Rogers Hornsby numbers translate when you look at the statistics and you look with your OPS plus, et cetera. That means they're translating him to now where other older guys from that era don't even make the top of that list because of how they translate it.
Okay, TK, are you satisfied with the list or no?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with the list. I think it's fine. I would put Allamar in over Carew just because, like I said, Carew had more games at first base than second base. But Carew, it was neck and neck first base, second base. So we want to put Carew in. He's one of the best pure hitters we've ever seen. So I'm fine with that. And, you know, you look at Hornsby and we have that whole conversation, but you got guys like Walter Johnson, who was throwing about 91 miles an hour.
Right.
So you didn't have guys that could throw really hard. And, I mean, he played against the best of his that were in the league at the time. And we're looking at MLB Mount Rushmores, and that's who was in the league. So maybe an unpopular opinion, but he did put up those numbers. His wins above replacement are higher than anyone else at second base. I don't have a problem with Roger Hornsby being on the list.
Okay, Manny, are you satisfied with the list? Hornsby, Joe Morgan, Jackie Robinson, and Carew.
Honestly, though, the reason why I didn't put Hornsby in the top four, in my top four, was because, again, I did the research. I looked at his numbers, 23 years in the league and stuff like that. And his numbers, two-time Triple Crown winner, is rare here around these days. And compare the pitching here to now. I mean, I understand. Don't get me wrong. Roger Hornsby, based on his numbers and everything, you could literally put him at number one if you think about it, just based on if you go exactly by his numbers. But again, I put Rod Carew, and I understand TK bringing up that he played majority of the time, not even as a second baseman as much, which is okay, fine. But from seeing Rod Carew, I put Rod Carew and Roberto Allamar in my top four, no matter what. But Hornsby, I would just take him out. I'm sorry. I will take Hornsby out. I'll even see
just for fairness, unless JP is going to move him, he stays. And we guys know how the rules are played. JP's not willing to move him. That means he has to stay.
I mean,
it is what it is.
And there's more, too. Like, do we talk about the size of ballparks? Does that count? Like, what are we counting in this discussion?
But again, to be fair,
huge parks with 600-foot fences. He's got the ones.
To be fair, though, TK screwed Allamar because he got personal, and he left him off because he was a Met. He messed up. So if you want to be fair, that's how he got left off. All right? It wasn't JP's fault. It was TK's fault. It was TK's fault.
Morgan's better. I take full responsibility. Roberto Allamar was supposed to help the 2002 Mets. He helped sink them.
So it's a personal it's a personal vendetta that's leaving Alamar. Wait a minute. So just so we're clear, it's a personal vendetta that's leaving Alamar off our Mount Rushmore hit list. That's basically
honestly. You know what? I pretty much put the pressure on TK. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So my bad, TK, because me putting Rod Carew in, because honestly, I could have just picked Joe Morgan right off the bat. I was hoping Paul MVP Paul did it, but he went with Jackie Robinson right off the bat. If he would have picked Joe Morgan, I would have put Jackie Rob.
I had to. Roger Hornsby.
Right. So, but again, no one's willing to budge. Listen, no one's willing to budge, so we are where we are.
You know what?
Solid Mount Rushmore.
Hey, Manny, make that switch, bro.
I'm gonna have to. I mean,
are you falling under the pressure to make the switch?
Yes.
I mean, I want Hornsby out. Honestly, that's just me. I want him out.
He can't move. JP's not budging. He's not budging. It's fair. It's fair.
He's not budging. And don't worry, JP. I'm a Yankee fan too. Okay.
But it has nothing to do with the Yankees, bro.
I know. But
I'm definitely the highest baseball guy too.
So listen. So Manny, you don't want the box office backlash of leaving Roberto Allamar off. Is that what it is right now? You don't want the Travis.
Manny, stick by your
I
guns.
love Allamar.
So again, final answer: are you leaving him or no?
Because
listen, man, I got to go watch the Celtic game, man. Come on, man, you're killing me here.
Hey, my man.
When the Hall of Fame opened, Hornsby was in, not all the other guys.
Now. He's not doing that. Jaylen Brown's shooting a bunch of BS. Stop. Can't have the start. Anyways,
final answer.
Unfortunately, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say it right now. Rod Carew stays. That's it.
All right, there it is. So we have Roger Hornsby, Joe Morgan, Jackie Robinson, and Rod Carew. That's the ultimate hit list. Thank you guys for watching and subscribing to our channel. Please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll have episode 4 the following week. Take care.